Hey, welcome back to Mike Seibert Radio. I am your host, and as you might be able to tell already, this is another Mike Drives to Work episode, but I just got out of a advanced press screening for Top Gun Maverick the other night, and I thought it would be a good idea to kind of share some of my thoughts and give kind of a non-spoiler review here as I drive to work. And it's interesting, not to tangent like right off the bat, but I don't know what it says, and I do think it's odd that like the most creatively satisfying podcasts I've recorded recently are ones where I'm just talking to you while I'm driving in the car. So maybe that's something I'll look into in the future. But yeah, no, it's existential dreadcast and talking about what was it, Book of Boba Fett. Anyway, it's these are just kind of fun, and it kind of helps me pass the time and gets content to you. Speaking of, I also real quick, I want to thank everybody for their outpouring of support of the Existential Dreadcast. I've had more than a couple folks reach out to me, specifically Anthony from TFU.info and the guys from the Cracktastic Plastic podcast, all wrote me very nice things about that episode. So I'm really glad that it resonated with folks, and just a wellness check. I'm doing a lot better this week, and I think I'm kind of back on the right path. So, but again, I have the best friends in the world, and I could not be more thankful for your support. So, but let's talk about movies. All right. So, like I said, we're talking about Top Gun Maverick, the eagerly awaited sequel to, of course, the 1986 classic. And going into the movie, I haven't really had a whole lot of expectations. Like, even over like the last 3 years of delays, this movie was originally supposed to come out in July of 2019, and then ran into some production delays, good old-fashioned production delays, and then ran into Rona delays. So it hasn't been delayed as many times as Morbius, but there was a time where I'm like, is this movie actually coming out? Because it's been done and on the shelf for 2 years. So the first thing I'll say is that it is absolutely worth the wait. I liked this movie quite a bit. I had an absolute blast with it. So I want to get that out there right off the bat, just so you know where I'm coming from. But expectation-wise, I didn't really think to expect anything, because while I am a 80s kid, and Top Gun is definitely in that echelon of classic 80s movies, and has a lot of like the rock and roll music video vibe and aesthetic to it, as say like Rocky IV, or other types of movies of the era. I like Top Gun, but I'm not the biggest fan of it, and I don't revisit it often. And I'm not one of the guys that can quote it deep. Like, I know folks, and I'm sure you do as well, that can quote chapter and verse, like deep technical talk. Like, I know, I feel the need for speed, or like, permission to buzz the tower, negative, the pattern is full, that kind of like, and I think that's kind of why folks like Top Gun and like quoting it, because there is that little bit of technobabble, the technical military terms and speak that I think connects with folks. But it was never my favorite. I think it's fine. In fact, actually, I think it's a little slow, and I think folks forget that. So going into Top Gun Maverick, I was just expecting like a solid Tom Cruise movie. And I got exactly what I wanted. It delivers. It is a worthy sequel, and I think it actually surpasses the original in that it's a real movie. Like, I mean, again, like the original kind of oscillates from being a music video to being kind of slow. Like, again, I think we all kind of forget how much time we're just spending at school and doing class. It's half a high school movie, practically, just in the execution of it. And there's some of that here in Top Gun Maverick. Oh, by the way, this review completely spoiler free. There are specific details that I could spoil, but since it's not a Marvel movie or based on a comic book or a video game, so there aren't like the plethora of Easter eggs and cameos and all of this stuff that could be discussed in a more exhaustive, spoiler-filled episode. So I think I can hit on the broad points without really getting into the details and the minutia here. But again, it's like I was expecting a solid Tom Cruise movie. That's exactly what I got. It moves at a really good clip. It clocks in at just over 2 hours. I want to say like 2 hours and 6 minutes, and it moves. It doesn't feel draggy, even when there are scenes with with the classroom stuff and things like that. So basically, what the story of it is there is a threat that must be addressed by the military. So they gather the best of the best of the best, kind of recalling previous graduates of Top Gun. And they bring in Maverick to basically teach the new batch of kids, kind of, show them the ropes and put together this mission so that America wins. Yay America. So it does have the military propaganda feel of the first one. But like, who is this movie for? So for me at least, in my opinion, this movie is for fans of the original. If you are a fan and like Top Gun the first is your religion, you will be satisfied. There is plenty here. It is, I think, I may have to reflect on this more, but to me, this is the type of legacy sequel that they finally cracked the code and got the formula right. I don't think that this is a handoff movie in the say that like Star Wars Force Awakens was. Meaning like you bring in the original legacy cast, but you also bring in an equally prominent young new cast. And essentially what the old cast is there to do is to pass the baton onto the new kids, and then they go off and have their adventures and sequels. This movie is called Top Gun Maverick. So it is about Tom Cruise, and it is about the Maverick character, and it's about what he's been doing in the time since the original movie. Why is he still a captain? Why has he not seen promotion? Why does he still risk his life? Why is he still a fighter pilot stick jockey at this point in his life? And how can he interact with a changing military landscape? There's a subplot about the need for real pilots when drones are a thing. So I think it addresses those things in a way that kind of the latter-day Mission Impossible movies work. I think that Tom Cruise, as he kind of moves into this elder phase of his career, I say that with a smirk because the dude looks like he's still walked out of like 1986. I don't know if it's like the Thetans or the HGH or the Scientology or what, but the dude does not age. I wonder if it's like clone robots or something like that, and he's just like transferring consciousnesses over, like a real Arnim Zola situation. I really don't know, but he looks great. There's a football scene where he's running around shirtless, and it's just like, damn, Tom Cruise. I really can't explain it or understand it, but this is a dude that understands the craft of filmmaking, and more to that, movie making, meaning like pop movie making, the difference between quote-unquote film and quote-unquote movie. Tom Cruise understands how to make a good, fun movie, and he rarely disappoints. And so this movie was directed by I don't have the guy's name in front of me. I don't remember off the top of my head, but he's the dude that worked with Tom Cruise on Oblivion, a movie that I don't especially like, but it's fine. He also directed Tron Legacy, which is a movie that every few years I rewatch, hoping I will like it, and then I'm always disappointed. I mean, the soundtrack is phenomenal. The visual aesthetic is incredible, but there ain't a lot of movie there. And I don't know if it's because of his directing or the performances or whatever. I don't want to litigate that here now. But I think Tom Cruise has reached a point in his career where he's decided that there's a couple directors that he likes working with. One is this guy, the other one being Christopher McQuarrie, who's directed the last half dozen Mission Impossible movies. And I think it's a thing where it's, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of Kevin Costner a little bit, in that, like, any movie that Kevin Costner stars in, he's basically co-directing, if not taking over entirely. And I think that's what some of this is with both this Top Gun Maverick and the Mission Impossible movies. I think Tom Cruise has found a director that he can work with to help execute his vision, but still have somebody else in the director's chair, and to have that directed by credit, which is fine given the results. I like those Mission Impossible movies quite a bit, and I like this Top Gun Maverick quite a lot. It is a lot of fun. I also like, and I mentioned this earlier, I like that it's not tethered to a franchise. It's a sequel, but it's not like part 23 or whatever. This movie is very approachable. Like I talked about earlier, who is this movie for? It's for folks that want a good, solid action movie that one you can bring your kids to. I mean, yes, there's some terrific aerial combat scene, and there are themes that are probably a little intense for like little kids. But I was 8 years old in 1986. I don't remember when Top Gun came out, if it was before or after Transformers the movie. No, it was before. What am I talking about? It came out like in May, like the summer, I think, because Top Gun was still like in the top 5 at the box office in August when Transformers the movie came out. So yeah, never mind. So I was 7. I didn't turn 8 till September. Anyway, I so like it was a little over my head, but yeah, I mean it's fun enough. But no, like this Top Gun Maverick is very approachable. Do you need to have seen the first one? No. Do you need to re-watch the first one if it's been a hot minute? No. Because what I think this movie is very successful at is, one, it gives you everything you need, either through dialogue or outright flashbacks. There are a handful of flashbacks, but it gives you everything you need to be able to enjoy the movie. Sure, if you want to give the first one a day in court, I'm not going to stop you. I'm just saying that you don't necessarily need it. And for me, I can't remember the last time I watched Top Gun. Probably like when they released it in 3D. I watched that. The 3D conversion on that is not especially good. But I think that Top Gun Maverick works best as a sequel to your memory and perception of what Top Gun is, not actually what the movie Top Gun was. You know, everybody remembers like the dogfights and the jets, and people forget about like that saggy middle portion where we're just spending a lot of time in class. So it's yeah, I mean, and so for me, the movie is superior to the first one in that that it moves so much faster. It's faster, more intense. There's a lot of all killer, no filler. So I want to talk about the cast a bit as well. Again, Tom Cruise is really great in this, being Tom Cruise. Jennifer Connelly is the love interest, and I don't mean to be a creep, but I have had a crush on Jennifer Connelly as far as I can remember. Like, sure, The Rocketeer, obviously, but I go even further back to a little movie called Opportunity Knocks about teenagers trapped in a Target overnight, which was interesting for me because as a kid, there were no Targets in the Seattle area yet. So it was like an exotic location. Ooh, Target. But anyway, I've always had a thing for Jennifer Connelly, and she is an age-appropriate smoke show in this movie. And you rock those mom jeans, Jennifer Connelly. But no, I think she's a good foil for Tom Cruise, and I think they have legitimate chemistry, and it's not a creepy age gap either. Like I think she's 51 and I think he's 59, so there's like a 8-year difference, which I don't think is an inappropriate age gap. Kelly McGillis was not asked to return, and I saw an interview with her like a while ago, I think back when the movie was originally going to come out back in 19, and she was like, you know, look at me, you know, so she has a certain degree of self-awareness, and you know, she was significantly older than Tom Cruise at the time, and yeah, and again, I don't want to be sexist, ageist, or whatever, but I think Kelly McGillis is an actual senior citizen now. I think she's like in her mid to late 60s. So yeah, I think that just that just wouldn't be a good fit. Unfortunately, I don't know what that says about the Hollywood system and how the disparity between veteran actresses are treated versus veteran actors. That's a societal challenge for a different day. But you also got Miles Teller as kind of like the leader of the new kids. He plays Goose's son, and I haven't seen Miles Teller in a whole lot. Like, I know he kind of has a reputation for being prickly and for, you know, being a jerk and an asshole, and I haven't really dug much into it. He's pretty good in this, and you know, with that push broom mustache, he really kind of is a spitting image of Anthony Edwards, and he's pretty good in this role, and he has a good amount of tension and friction with Tom Cruise. I think they play off each other very well. But with the new kids, I appreciate the diversity and inclusion there are women, there are diverse races, and it's a really good mix, and it's kind of refreshing when, like, 36 years ago, everybody in Top Gun is a white man. So it's good to see, and it doesn't feel forced. Like, I appreciate diversity and inclusion, but I have enough of those occasionally grouchy, curmudgeon-y Gen X tendencies, late stage Gen X tendencies, where I don't necessarily have a lot of I'm not into virtue signaling, and I'm not into diversity casting being forced down your throat figuratively. And maybe that's too big of a topic to explore here, but like maybe that's hypocritical on my part, and I need to explore that. But like, on one hand, I say I like diversity and inclusion, but I also don't like it when it's being pushed in my face, and that's like the actual agenda. Like, we are going to, spin the wheel of inclusion and tick this bingo card just for the sake of it. I think that is I think that's a disservice to true representation, because it should be organic and natural. So at a time where they're showing a class of previous Top Gun graduates, and there's a wide swath of representation, to me that is realistic and organic for what the landscape of the current military represents. It's more representative of the population, and I think that's great. But also, though, the characters I'm talking about aren't really fleshed out. They aren't really characters. Like, they have call signs and, like, one note characterizations and things like that, but they're not really characters. They're not really developed, and they're kind of a bunch of NPCs, like non-playable characters in a video game. Which is fine, because I mean it pads out the cast. And makes the cast feel fuller, and you need folks to go on the mission, and you need folks to be in the classroom for Maverick to teach. So yeah, I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about it. But if this was a handoff movie, I think these characters would be a little more developed. But the sign says Top Gun Maverick. I also, but in particular, though, there was one of those folks that kind of stuck out, is a actor named Glenn Powell, who I am not familiar with this dude's work as well, but he's kind of like the replacement he's kind of like an amalgamation of Val Kilmer's Iceman character and Tom Cruise's Maverick character. Dude's a prick. I mean, he is hot stuff, and he knows it. So he's your typical arrogant prick character, but I think he plays it very well, and he has a very punchable face, which you want for that kind of character, and I think he does it very well. John Hamm's in this movie as well as as Lieutenant Hardass. He's just a grump, giving Maverick the business the whole time. He's the resident non-believer of bringing Maverick into this mission, but he's paired off with Lewis Pullman, who is kind of like hard apple adjacent, but still like, Maverick's a righteous dude, that kind of thing, kind of that dynamic, kind of like the good cop to John Hamm's bad cop. Ed Harris shows up. I don't know if it's a cameo, but like if it counts as a cameo, but like he shows up at a certain stage of the movie, and his he is there to play Admiral Grizzle Hardapple, And he's just Ed Harris. He is awesome as this grizzled admiral dude. And yeah, I had no idea Ed Harris was going to be in the movie, and I thought it was great that he was able to show up. I think part of the reason why I kind of wanted to go down the cast is because I want to talk about Val Kilmer. You see it in the trailer where it's like, oh, Maverick, you've been called back into service because Admiral Iceman thinks you have something left to give to the Navy, and they gesture to a portrait on the wall of Val Kilmer. Now, if you don't know or are aware, Val Kilmer has had a lot of health problems over the last several years. He's had throat cancer. He speaks through a voice box. Had like the tracheotomy surgery, so he's he's not in great shape. And prior to that, he had, I don't know what kind of difficulties he had, but dude was just looking really rough, just overweight and just bad looking and just in a really bad way. So I was really nervous about Val Kilmer being included in this movie. It's like, what is that going to be? It's like, what kind of dignity are we going to show this actor and this character? Or is this going to be one of those things where we're just trotting him out and it's uncomfortable, kind of like how Seacrest would drag out Dick Clark for those last couple New Year's Rockin' Eves before he passed away, where it's like sad more than anything. And I had seen an interview with Tom Cruise talking about how that scene that he did with Val Kilmer was very emotional, and called it kind of like the emotional heart of the movie, and which in a sense made me more nervous. It's like, what is this going to be? So I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to talk about exactly what it is, but I will confirm that in that it's a great scene, and they handled it as best as they could have. It's appropriate, it's tasteful, and it's a really good moment between those two characters. So I was pleased that I was not disappointed and that my fears were kind of unfounded about my nervousness about that scene and how Val Kilmer was going to be portrayed. Again, very tasteful, very well done. So with regards to the actual movie, I'm not sure what else to say. I mean, it feels very throwbacky in that it feels like the sequel to Top Gun that they would have made in 1992 instead of 2022. And I say that affectionately because it has that throwbacky aesthetic to it. The special effects are incredible. The air combat scenes are really very good. And again, maybe it's my science fiction comic book cape fatigue, but I'm glad that we're like actual fighter planes and not spaceships and laser guns. There's no blue laser. There's no computer generated gleep glop creatures. I'm sure there was an extensive use of CGI, whereas in the original movie it was more models. But it has a tangible realism to it that I really appreciated. But I think I dropped this thread earlier talking about who this movie is for. This movie is for folks that grew up with Top Gun and had affection to it. You'll not be disappointed. Unless you want to be super nitpicky about plot contrivances, which I personally just delighted in. And I'll come back to that in a sec. But I think this is also a movie for... this is what I meant to get at when I was talking about you can bring your kids to it. Like, I have a buddy of mine who loves Top Gun. And, like, he would show it to his kids when they were young. So now that the kids are older and Top Gun has been a part of their lives, they are going to this new movie together. And I think that's very sweet, and I think that's pretty cool. What I don't know is if this is for the folks that expect more from movies. What I mean by that is, like, fans of the Marvel movies and the DC movies and all of these high concept science fiction movies. I don't know what the appetite is for younger audiences, and younger by I mean like teenagers and maybe even folks in their 20s. I don't know if there's an appeal here. I hope there is, because there is a buzz and a hype for this movie. Like, I missed the early press screening that was like 2 weeks ago. And when Lucky asked me what I thought of the movie, when she saw me the next day after the press screening I just attended, I was like, well, I know you and I are going this weekend. We're going this weekend, so I'm going to see it twice. Tells you what I think of it. But she asked me what I thought, and I was like, I wish I would have gone to the early press screening 2 weeks ago. That way I could have gone to this one and seen it with you, seeing it 3 times in 2 weeks. I like it that much. But it's projected to bring in $100 million this weekend, which would be the biggest opening for a Tom Cruise movie ever. And I kind of hope that happens, because what that would tell me is that there's still an appetite for less fantastical IP and for kind of a grounded traditional action movie. So that's who the movie is for, I hope. But I couldn't get out of here without talking about again, I'm not spoiling anything, but, like, you know, I've talked about this movie in, like, hushed tones and kind of, like, being reverential about it. And, you know, I've skirted against the line of saying, oh, well, this is a movie for grown-ups. It's not. This is a movie for teenagers, or teenagers of the 80s, or teenagers at heart. Because, like, for the most part, it is it's very similar to the first one. You know, it's kind of like grounded and realistic, but still kind of fantastical. But the thing that I appreciated about this movie, and I think that's going to divide fans a bit, is at a certain point in the movie, it kind of untethers from a tangible reality and just is over the top and bug nuts crazy, both in developments of the plot and contrivances and what happens. And it's like the movie has the opportunity to end no fewer than 3 different times, and then it just doesn't. I've referred to the climax of this movie as the 4th act of the movie, because the movie ends, and then if you were watching it on streaming, you would pause it and you would see that there's still a half hour left of the movie, and it is bug nuts crazy, balls to the wall action, and it gives you what you want. Again, I was hopping up and down, excited in my seat. I went with a couple guys from work, and I teased them about, because I don't think the 3 of us have gone together, but, like, I've gone with them separately, and both of them are chitter chatterers. You know, it's like, you know, something, you know, just chittering. And my wife, Lucky, she has like a 0 tolerance. for talking in the movie. So she and I are like dead silent. We'll exchange each other looks, or maybe like I'll squeeze her knee or something if like something especially exciting happens. But yeah, we don't chitter. We are a zero tolerance household on that. But anyway, so I've teased my friends from work about the chattering. But I was so excited by what was happening in Top Gun Maverick. It basically becomes Star Wars. And I don't know if that's a spoiler. So my apologies if it is, but like it kind of takes on the vibe and feel and it becomes Star Wars. I'm just gonna leave it there. But I get so excited that like I'm turning around. I sat in the middle. I start chittering with my one friend. Then I turn my head and I start chatting with the other guy. And when we got to work the next day, I pulled them both aside. I'm like, guys, I owe you an apology. And they both look at me very puzzled. I was like, I am always teasing you guys about chittering during the movie. And then look what happened. I pulled a Harvey Dent. You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain. And they both laughed at me, and it was all in good nature and good fun. But that's how excited I got watching the movie. Like I had like an actual reaction to it where I was just hopping up and down in my seat, and I just had an absolute blast. Go see it in the biggest possible screen you can, because the fighter jet scenes both in and out of the cockpit are optimized for IMAX. We saw it in a IMAX, and I don't know if where you live, if you have a real IMAX. Like here in Seattle, we have the Pacific Science Center that has a true IMAX. Like it's like the giant screen that is very immersive. But most towns have, they call it IMAX, but it's just kind of like a slightly larger screen. Regardless, still worth it for the visual spectacle of it. This is why we go to the movies. I don't think it's going to feel the same if you watch it on TV when it drops on the Paramount Plus, which I think it's going to drop in like 45 days. I think it's a very short window, but part of the reason why I wanted to do this review is to say, go see it with a crowd. I love going to early promotional screenings because they're packed and you get a good crowd. So there was like a lot of cheering and woohooing and applauding, and there were times where I felt like the guy from those Progressive Insurance commercials about young homeowners becoming their parents. It's like, nobody who made the movie is here, but it's great fun. And if you have any degree of affection for Top Gun, you won't be disappointed. If you've never seen Top Gun, you're okay. It gives you everything you need, and it's just great fun. And I think that's about all I got. Thank you so much for listening. And if you want to listen to all my past shows, you know where to find me. But also check out my YouTube channel. I've that's where like my live stream videos live. And if you like the podcast, you might like the live stream as well. But I am going to get out of here. I need to go to work. I'm trying to think of a Maverick-like sign-off. But anyway, this is my name is Mike. This has been Mike Seibert Radio. And until next time, make good choices.
Okay, snacks and popcorn are going to be expensive. Let's just accept that. Going to the movies can be a lot for young homeowners turning into their parents.
Bathrooms. Even if you don't have to go, you should try.
We all know where the bathroom is and how to use it. Okay?
The Stevensons told me they save money bundling their boat insurance with Progressive.
No one knows who those people are. It can be painful.
Hand me your coats. There's an extra seat in here.
No. We don't need a coat wrangler.
Progressive can't save you from becoming your parents, but we can save you money when you bundle home, auto, and more with us.
No one who made the movies here.
Okay, and so now that I've kind of drifted into accidental spoiler territory, I do want to share one thing, and it's very, very silly, but it's not really a spoiler, but like, okay, so in Top Gun the first, Goose's son has a Starscream action figure, so he's got a transformer, and I am sad to report, and again it's a bit of a spoiler, but the Starscream does not make an appearance. The Starscream action figure does not make an appearance in Top Gun Maverick. But I will say though that again, I'm not going to spoil it, but there is like one maneuver that a enemy fighter jet does where I swear as it does it, it was about to change into a giant robot. Like, it kind of reminded me of something out of the 2007 Transformers movie, and I thought that enemy jet was going to change into Starscream and start going after Top Gun Maverick.
It's Starscream!